Welcome, friends, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a podcast created by fans for the fans, and we appreciate you listening to episode 128. I'm your host, the architect of Pro Wrestling Podcast, Andy.
I'm also your host, the no-selling wrestling indie fan and football lover, Jeremy.
And our third host, Tim, will be joining us shortly. He'll pop in here, probably do his intro, who knows.
Right in the middle when we're talking about something else probably too.
Yeah. Before we get into everything, please follow us on all platforms at the PW Fan. Like, subscribe, do it up. I'm very active on our TikTok account at least once a day. I post a clip.
Yeah, they got some good clips on there.
The likes are starting to pick up, which is nice.
Yeah, even got people commenting on it too.
Every once in a while there's a comment, but
it's nice.
Instead of like 2 or 3 likes for now, at least an average of 20, which is not much in the grand scheme of things, but it is a big increase from what it was. So
yeah.
This week we're going to be talking about the WWE Draft has started. We're going to be talking about Tony Khan and Kenny Omega and more. But before we get into the shows, I know you and Tim are... I don't even think you guys are even watching Dark Side of the Ring
I'm
this season.
so behind on this.
So this week was Sensational Sherry. She wanted to be a wrestler. She was a wrestler eventually during the era of... Well, let's just say... I wouldn't say the era of Moolah, but she is the one that dethroned Moolah after Moolah had it for like 30 years. So women's title, she's the one that did.
That's pretty crazy.
She's also known to some people in WCW as the manager for Harlem Heat. But yeah, Dark Side of the Ring, obviously, if it's on the Dark Side of the Ring, it's not a really happy story. She did have problems with like drugs and alcohol, and that plays a big part into her story. But yeah, she did always want to be, wrestler, women's wrestler in a time when women's wrestling wasn't really showcased. She was one of those women that could get physical. I saw clips. She was taking bumps and whatnot, while say other women managers or women that would be on TV weren't really taking the bumps because they weren't trained in wrestling, unlike her. So I am curious though. 1, I don't know how many episodes this season has, but 2, what is this coming week's episode gonna be? And it's looking like nothing. Is that the season finale?
That was the season finale?
I know. No, okay, yeah, there's 2 more. This week is... Here we go, I found it. Sorry, Google didn't have it up right away, but Wikipedia did. This week... Oh, that should be good. It's called Enter Sandman, Legacy of a Hardcore Icon.
Ooh.
It's going to be on the Sandman from ECW. And then, God, this will be interesting. It's called Black Saturday, The Rise of Vince.
Wow.
So, I don't know.
That's very fitting.
What part, if it's... They can't do his whole career in an
hour. No. Well, this was like already recorded already, so...
Yeah, it would have had... But why...
I don't think...
I'm just curious of what about it belongs in Dark Side of the Ring, if it's not talking about recent things.
Yeah. Those aren't going to be in there. I doubt it.
No. But it might be in whatever... Aren't they doing like a documentary series? Not a documentary series, like a series on Netflix?
Yeah, but I think that's like... that was like already done as well.
Yeah. Bonus episode.
This is like, let's wrap everything up, guys.
Bonus episode.
Yeah.
And then did I talk about... I guess I talked about it last week because I'd already watched Treasures and Rivals, but this week Treasures and Rivals from last night. A really weird episode of Treasures. I haven't watched it, but it's on The Miz. I feel like The Miz is too current to be like going out and looking for memorabilia. But
yeah, I guess he's been there for a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
like
what, 20 years?
20 years?
Almost.
That feels very long for The Miz.
Almost 20 years then.
That's crazy.
I
just remember him main eventing WrestleMania, but that doesn't feel so long ago, but it actually is.
The Miz debuted August 1st of 2003.
That's crazy.
You feel old
21 years ago? What?
Yeah. Apparently.
I feel old now.
No, that would have had to been. No, that can't be right. Because then
Right, Andy.
Now I'm watching. Well, now I see a video on YouTube saying The Miz makes his WWE debut against Tatanka, and this is September 1st, 2006.
Okay, but still early 2000s then.
Yeah, but I wonder if his debut would mean like maybe Tough Enough.
Tough Enough was, I guess, technically his debut because he actually showed up on TV then.
Yeah, but 2006. Still, again, I said almost 20 years at least.
But that's crazy. I didn't think he was around that for that long.
Yeah. And then this week's
I guess
Rivals, the thing that what?
The thing that he always said where he's wrestles in a safe way so he can do it for a long time actually paid off.
Yeah. This week's Rivals was Stone Cold and Booker T. And I'm looking right now at the commercial. Next week's Treasures is Triple H, and the Rivals is Batista and John Cena. So, is there anything outside of the shows we want to talk about? I know there's some things we're going to talk about outside the shows, but it is based off of what happened on the show.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It deals with the shows. I guess the only non-show thing that we're talking about is a different show. Did we talk about Broken Matt coming back to TNA? I think we said that last week.
We did. Just his debut.
Right. And also that pay-per-view, I think got
was that Breaking Point?
Yeah, I think that pay-per-view got 500 buys. I was like, oh, TNA.
Oh, TNA.
That's tough. That's tough to hear.
The little engine that goes. All right, let's get into it. The draft started on Smackdown, so we won't be talking about that right away. But Raw this week opened up with Jey Uso, who he was quickly interrupted, let's just say, by Damian Priest. This is to hype up their match coming up at Backlash. I believe, they were talking about old times. There was a story that was told about Priest talked about going out for drinks with him, and paying the bill. And what did he say? He said, "I know I paid the bill because you were on that Bloodline good stuff." Talking about whatever they were drinking while they were out. Priest would say, "You're just the first on the list of people the machine is going to feed me, so this looks good on me." And Jay would end up saying at one point, "The only reason you're the leader of the Judgment Day is because Mommy got hurt." And I think that kind of this sets the tone for Damian Priest for the rest of the night and the things he'll say and his reactions and whatnot. But this whole segment was just to continue that storyline going into.
I think it's good to have these two starting to be more, I guess, main event-ish people, especially since Damian Priest now is the champion. But it's their
so far
first
I'm not mad at Priest being champ.
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't do too bad.
No.
Yeah.
I am curious of what happens to Jay after this, or I'd be really surprised if they
have too much when he's not with the Bloodline, in the storylines.
They took the title off of Priest already.
If Jay just wins,
it'd be crazy. All right, we had a match shortly after this tag team match. Miz and R-Truth retain their titles against DIY. Afterwards, Ciampa refused to shake hands. This is a theory going around, because Candice is kind of going heel already. It's funny, like, if Ciampa's going heel, but Gargano's not, at least not yet, and Candice is going heel, but Indy Hartwell's not yet. I don't even know if this plays into the theory, but people are like, is the Way reforming?
I know, I was going to say that too. And do you think like Gargano's like the last one to turn?
Maybe. I mean, Indy still would have to turn, right?
Yeah. There's a chance. I mean, did you like it when it was in NXT?
I did. They also had what? Austin Theory and Dexter Lumis, right?
Yeah. They kind of ruined Dexter Lumis already, but
yeah, I mean,
he's gone.
Is he hurt? He wasn't released.
I have no idea where he's been.
I don't know. So, I guess we'll have to wait and see what they're doing with it. I hope they drop this DX gimmick, though.
That should have been a one-time thing at WrestleMania.
Yeah, the one-time WrestleMania thing.
Yeah.
They're coming out in like the cowboy hat, like Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, and I was like, come on, guys.
Backstage, Dominic Mysterio would reveal that he was injured and couldn't compete that night. So he would end up recruiting Santos Escobar to the team to team up with JD McDonough against Ricochet and Andrade. And Priest was not happy with this. It seems like people aren't running things by Priest, which he's not happy about. And they don't seem to like outsiders being brought into the Judgment Day's locker room. So that's the...
Do you think it eventually leads to a Priest face turn? Or I feel like he's still a heel, though. When he splits from Judgment Day?
Yeah, I think he's the next one out.
Yeah. It just stays a heel.
It'd be interesting if eventually he feuds with, like, say, Finn.
Yeah.
I can get down with that. Gunther, did he return this week? This past week was his return, right?
Yeah.
He returned. And I mean, so he came out with the rest of Imperium. He get on the mic. At one point, I mean, he thanked Sami Zayn, but not really. He said, now I'm not a target anymore. Yeah. I've gone from being the hunted to the hunter. I can do whatever I want. He said this thanking Sami Zayn for taking the pressure off of his shoulders. It's kind of like a backhanded compliment. He would say, for 666 days, I elevated the Intercontinental Championship to levels that it had never seen before, and in the process became the greatest champion in its illustrious history. But he did, I believe, call his shot and enter himself into the King of the Ring tournament. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I totally forgot that was happening.
Yeah. Is that happening over... Remember last time it happened over in Saudi Arabia? Yeah. It is. I'm reading here. It's coming over Saudi Arabia. The New Day would, though, end up interrupting them, and this would lead to a match with Imperium losing to the New Day. Afterwards, Ludwig Kaiser, I'll just say it, beat the shit out of Giovanni Vinci and took him out. That running kick.
Yeah, especially
awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, that looked really good.
When they showed, they've been doing a lot of like following the people backstage as they go through the curtain.
I like that.
I do too. And they showed Ludwig go up to Gunther and say, "Told you I'd get it done." So I guess it was part of the plan. The question is, what happens to Giovanni Vinci now?
Yeah. Also, I'll just say this since I feel like I say it almost every week now, but fuck Kevin Dunn. Because we would have never got these shots if Kevin Dunn was still there. It would have been 100 different angles.
Not fans of Kevin Dunn over here on the PW fan. But people are like, what if Ilya joins Imperium? Oh, CM Punk drafted. Sorry, I'm spoiling it.
Yeah.
Drafted to the same show he's been on.
Unbelievable.
That's the number one draft pick from the second round tonight.
That's funny they put him in the second round.
Yeah, Gunther made a comment, though, outside of on Raw. I guess someone talked about Ilya joining. and he said that Ilya's better as an enemy than as a friend.
Yeah.
But wrestlers don't always get what they want. It's not always their decision, so we'll have to see. But I'm pretty sure now that Ilya is no longer the champion, in case that isn't known yet, Trick Williams, I believe maybe it happened last week. That's why we haven't said it. Trick Williams beat
Yeah, it happened
Ilya
last week, yeah.
and is the new NXT champion. So I wouldn't be surprised if, as we're watching here tonight, Ilya gets drafted, unless he already did, and I'm forgetting that he already got drafted.
I don't remember him being drafted.
Let me see. I can go down here real quick. I don't want to.
I feel like that would have been bigger news.
Braun Breaker. Jay Carmen. I mean, there were people from NXT drafted this week, but
nope,
I'm not.
I mean, I guess we'll get to it on Smackdown, but like, what do you think about how they did the draft this time?
How do I like how they did it?
Yeah, did you like it?
Or I don't mind it.
Yeah.
You?
They did it. Well, I liked it better this time than like how they did it before. It felt more like the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Like they were like with the second pick in the 2024 WWE Draft, and they would say the name.
Where am I? Drew McIntyre. That's where I am. Drew McIntyre would come out. We actually talked a little bit about this while we were recording. He did his little sit down, CM Punk sit down. But what was it? More of him like complaining and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean he wasn't happy.
Well, then Sheamus would come out and
with his old song too.
I'm looking at the screen, man. Sorry, literally no one changed shows.
Andy, didn't you tell Tim this every time? Like, we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry, it bothers me. That's my biggest gripe with the draft. I guess
it does.
When
it doesn't make any sense. Also, the fact that they got Speed on the show right now again, and he's barking at people.
Jeremy, we'll talk about this.
Do you know Speed is? Oh, now we're gonna do it next week. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I also know he showed up. Remember at Mania?
Yeah. But like, I would not have him back.
Yeah. Maybe he's just, I don't know. KSI comes out with him. Sometimes maybe Speed is just this era's, coming out with him. Anyway, Sheamus would come out during Drew's segment. Sheamus and him are or were friends. But they had a back and forth. McIntyre would end up saying, with them it used to be banger after banger, and he's like, but now with you it just seems to be burger after burger. Just body shaming.
That was so funny
on live TV. Yeah,
burger after burger.
I'm reading here, maybe mentioning that he won the Intercontinental Championship in his first shot at Sheamus. Would have been more effective, but oh well. But it seems like Sheamus and McIntyre is going to be the next direction with these two.
I'm not mad about
that. Backstage, Bronson Reed would assault Sami Zayn, potentially setting up another challenger for his title, if not Chad Gable. But speaking of Chad Gable, we had a segment from Chad Gable out with the Alpha Academy. He addressed his actions from the week before, attacking Sami Zayn after their match. Basically, he was like, I was fine with losing. I was fine with all that. But then Sami had to go up to his wife. And that made Chad basically think back to, his own family sitting in the front row. And that he just couldn't take it.
Which is such a messed up reason.
And then he just belittled his entire Alpha Academy, but then pulled back and said, this is why you're with me, for the constructive criticism, basically. He called what? He made fun of Nakamura. God. Tozawa. And I'm surprised it said Nakamura because I was going in the direction of saying Nakazawa because that's like a combination of Nakamura and Tozawa's name.
Yes.
He made fun of, he's like, you just come out here and do your dancing, and then Maxine, he basically said was terrible, and Otis saying he was like out of shape, all that.
It's like Perk Angle right here. It's Perk Gable.
Perk Gable.
I have arrived. How is everyone?
Tim has arrived.
I'm here.
It's a great entrance.
The little one had quite the night, so I've made it. Bare minimum, Tim
You survived.
has made it to the pod.
Bare minimum.
So moving forward, Dominic Mysterio and Ricochet had a little interaction backstage. But at the end of this, after Ricochet walked away, we had a stare down with Liv and Dom. You think Liv's gonna become Dom's new mommy? What if she joins the Judgment Day while Mommy's gone?
Ooh, yeah, step mommy then.
Step mommy.
I don't like it.
All right.
You don't want step mom?
There can only be one mommy on top.
There's only one mommy on top, and that's Rhea Ripley, baby.
Ricochet and Andrade would defeat the Judgment Day. Oh my God. Damian Priest, though, would attack afterwards and basically tells off JD and Dominic, saying that he doesn't need them, that they need him. And then we had the Women's Battle Royal for the vacated Women's Championship. And you probably could have predicted, because it's the safe bet to go with.
Yep.
Becky Lynch wins the Women's Battle Royal and is
After
now
losing
your new
at
champion.
WrestleMania a few weeks ago.
And as we're watching Raw, we have a returning superstar. But that wraps up Raw for this past week.
Tim, when Andy talks about next week's show during this show, it's fine. But then if we try to do it, he's like, hey, it's next week's show.
He's like, whoa, there's crazy stuff going on Raw right now. So it's coming out.
Well, you probably missed the first 2 rounds of the draft, but let's just say Punk got drafted. He was one of the people.
He did.
Did he get drafted Raw or SmackDown?
Where do you think?
Raw.
Yeah.
He stayed on the same show. It's big news.
Big news. Big breaking news.
Yeah.
I'm more. Have you guys already talked to AEW this week? Because that's actually for once in like 50 weeks. For once in 50 weeks, I'm more excited to talk about AEW this week.
Let's get into Dynamite, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, before we start Dynamite, let's just say that this was by far the worst looking visual Dynamite that they've ever had. It looked terrible. The production was terrible. The production was terrible. The Titantron was terrible. They had audio issues. It was not good. Let's start.
This is the second week.
It was prime AEW. This is why I loved it.
It was prime terrible production AEW.
Really back in Daly's place.
Yeah.
It really brought me back.
It did. I was like, I remember those days I couldn't hear a single thing they were saying to the mic.
And I listened
pandemic,
to
dude. This was pandemic era AEW right here.
I listened to some of that video you sent him from the drive-thru.
Oh yeah,
talking about Tony Khan's hair and.
They said, no, he used to look like the dad from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids back when he would get haircuts and look presentable. Then he started hanging out with the wrestlers on the road. Stopped getting haircuts, grew facial hair. Looks crazy.
Yeah, he looks rough.
So Orange Cassidy comes out because...
We need to critique right away. This was a mistake. Sorry, Tony. Swerve won the belt. Why is the champ not coming out first and doing a big promo? Come on, brother.
How often?
Come on, brother.
Exactly.
Does AEW start with a talking segment. It almost
It
always
doesn't,
starts
but
with a
he's
match.
the champ. He's the new
I
champ.
know.
Yeah, it's like they said it's a new era. I'm like, well, then start with your new champ then.
Trent Beretta would attack Orange Cassidy on his way out. It wasn't really a match. It was just starting with Trent Beretta attacking and then making Chuck Taylor make a decision. And it looks like, he basically ended up saying, the guys in the back might not clear me for the ring, but I can fight you out in the parking lot. So a parking lot fight is what they call it, was made for Collision. Serena Deeb would come out at one point.
Oh, real quick before that, sorry. I know it's not a big deal, which is part of the problem, but that's why when Swerve had the match after that segment, I think it was just a random match he had against, or no, it was like Eliminator or whatever.
He instead of coming out and cutting a promo being like, I fought my ass off last night and I'm the first, African American black champion. Instead, he just wrestled an ROH guy randomly.
Yeah.
In the second segment
it was
of
good.
the night.
It's like a good match, but it does nothing for him.
The match itself, they did fine. And the guy, Kyle, what's his name? Kyle something? Kyle Fletcher, he did fine. It's not like he didn't
recognize
look
Kyle Fletcher?
I don't. Was he an NXT guy?
No, he was part of Aussie Open with Will Ospreay. He just dyed his hair blonde. He dates sky blue.
I did think that he did very much resemble Will Ospreay's gear and gimmick, so yeah, that makes sense.
They're both in the Don Callis family. He's the blunt.
But like, it didn't help either person in this match. There was just like another match, and you're like, all right.
Well, you have the champ versus a ROH mid card title holder.
It was too competitive.
Which I would think
Swerve should have cleaned up with him in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Because I was going to say the match itself is fine, but like they should have at least had a promo before for Swerve then.
Something. Serena Deeb would call her shot as the next.
To quote a little man, the fact that Moxley is in the main event and Swerve isn't makes me sick. And listen, this isn't sour grapes, but But why is the New Japan title in the main event and the AEW title is in the opening match in the second match with no promo? Just my thoughts.
I mean, it's obvious that he should have opened the show.
Shouldn't
dude.
If anything, shouldn't, I'm just throwing this out there. Shouldn't Swerve have started the show, then Moxley done the New Japan match, and then Swerve could come back out later, do the main event with Kyle Fletcher, and then clean up with him real quick and go off the air with a dominant champion. That's just me. If you were gonna,
Well, they had to go off the air with a different.
Oh, that's right. They went off the air with. We'll get into that. They had some other stuff going on, or at least be the match before that segment.
Yeah.
But Serena Deeb would call her shot against Toni Storm as the next in line. And then Willow Nightingale had her segment, which basically Swerve should have had, celebrating her win.
Again,
Mercedes
makes no
Moné.
sense.
Mercedes Moné would come out, who is the next in line. Mercedes still has not had a match. Her first match is going to be at Double or Nothing against Willow. She would end up slapping Willow when apparently she was supposed to slap Chris Statlander after grabbing her arm. But it was just supposed to hype up their match. But speaking of a match, we had a gauntlet match to determine the next in line to face Roderick Strong. At Double or Nothing, started with Jay White and Dante Martin. Then it went Penta and Kyle O'Reilly, who cut his hair. Is no longer super long. It is like kind of, well, it's not short, but it's kind of like how it was at the end of his NXT run. There was Will Ospreay, Lance Archer, Commander, Jay Lethal, but in the end, Ospreay would end up winning. Ospreay and Strong should be a good match.
Yeah.
At Double or Nothing, I think he has to win, right?
Ospreay, I think so. It's kind of really fast and
not clean finish and set up a feud for Ospreay and someone else.
Yeah, I just thought this match was like, I didn't understand any of the rules when they first were doing it, but it was great to watch. It was like kind of a mess, but it was great to watch.
You don't really see gauntlet matches in AEW.
Yeah, and they were like, I don't know, had to explain it through the commentators, which I thought was weird. Like no one there knew really what was going on at first. But that's why I say this episode is prime AEW.
Well, speaking of prime AEW,
we had a crazy match that no one knew the rules for, but it was great to watch.
Speaking of prime AEW, you want to talk about Chris Jericho's segment?
Oh God, fuck Chris Jericho.
His learning tree segment. So Jericho comes out to a new Fozzy
under the
song.
learning tree.
Comes out into a new
Hang on,
Fozzy
can
song.
I ask a question real quick? Why doesn't he come out to the song anymore?
Because he went from that to being the Lionheart Chris Jericho again for a little
being
while.
Booed now.
But now he's being the learning tree Chris Jericho. Don't you know Chris Jericho reinvents himself?
Yeah, but the only thing that Chris Jericho had going for him was the song.
I think people stopped singing that once those certain allegations came up.
So once that happened, he was like, "Oh, I got to get rid of the song."
Yeah, that's what I think. I feel like that was like the very last time.
He has come. He has come. He is coming.
I could go somewhere with that, but I'm not. I have a lot of lines running through my head that I'm not going to say.
All right, well, let's talk about this segment. Jericho came out, and as we talked about, it seemed he's playing the delusional wrestler. Is that what we dubbed it?
Yeah.
Delusional Jericho, where everyone
I told you on the phone.
He's thanking the fans.
I told you on the phone the other day when we were just chit-chatting that I'm still not sure if this is a character or if he's being serious.
So the whole thing is he's out there, he's saying he said the FTW title stands for a lot of things, but I think it should be called the For the World title, and he's saying I did this for you. The fans are booing him, he's smiling. He's smelling.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Like you think, yeah, like that's a funny thing. Like if Jericho actually thinks this is real, and he's like goes back in the like backstage to like that was like great character work. He's like, yeah. He's like, what character work?
He's like, nah, dude, they love me.
Yeah, they actually love me. What are you talking about?
Well, during the segment, Big Bill would come out randomly, and now he wants to sit under the Jericho learning tree.
Big.
So I guess him and Starks are done. Is Starks injured? Where's Starks been?
I think he's hurt. Yeah.
All right. Well, the main event match, quote unquote, was Jon Moxley defeating Hobbs and retaining his IWGP Heavyweight Championship with the real ender.
Hobbs apparently got hurt in that.
But let me say this: no offense, and this is no offense to Hobbs right now, but again, would a Swerve versus Kyle Fletcher been any different than Moxley versus Hobbs in this spot?
Nah.
Yeah. Exactly. So why not have the champion go on semi-main event at least?
Yeah.
So the main event segment, I'll say, is Jack Perry came out and he called out Tony Khan. He talked about the early days of AEW, how we were supposed to change the world, and calls out Tony Khan, and Tony Khan's clapping along, like, yeah, we're gonna change the world. And I don't know, you want to? Anyone else want to take over?
Tony Khan was like, I have no comment. No comment about changing the world, but we do have a big...
He said, that's a really interesting statement, Jack.
Jack, that's a really good statement there. You'll have to find out what happens next week on Friday on AEW Collision. We have a big show planned, so that's when you'll be able to find out everything.
Well, it was supposed to be them burying the hatchet, and they hugged, and Jack Perry looked directly at the camera. Part of the time,
Jack,
that was a good moment.
The guy's camera and saying what he should say to Tony, but he was saying it to the camera.
Jack, I want to say that's a very good hug. Thank you for that hug. We have a big show Saturday night on Collision. Actually, if you.
All right.
I forgot Friday was Rampage. My bad.
It's like, way to correct yourself.
Did you notice Jack was saying things that he should have been looking at Tony and saying, instead he's talking to the camera of the guy that's standing in the ring holding the camera. It's like, Tony's right there, man.
The thing that was funny is like Corny on his show was like, he's like, and he put his head on Tony's shoulder, and he had to take a minute to look for the handheld cam instead of the hard cam.
So Jack would end up taking the mic though after the hug and holding up Tony's hands, and he would hit Tony in the stomach with the mic. Tony would
with the
fall,
worst bump ever taken in all of wrestling.
Delayed
of all
reaction.
time.
He fell and
he acted like he got hit in the face.
Well, then he grabbed his stomach after laying down for
I know, but like he fell down at first and was like this, and then he's like, oh. He like went down to his stomach.
Like, oh yeah. The Bucks would come out, making it seem like they're like, what are you doing? But then they ended up Meltzer driving, or didn't they change it once they became
They changed it to a Tony Khan driver.
Well, this literally was the Tony Khan driver. The TK driver.
Yeah, the TK driver.
AEW has worked very, very hard. AEW is like the Burger King of professional wrestling, whereas WWE is like the
Harvey Weinstein.
Anybody want to finish it?
So let's get into that.
God.
So
hold on.
Hold on. Jack Perry and the Bucks.
Yeah.
A video that was posted backstage, basically saying that, blaming Tony Khan for AEW going in the toilet and not being as good as it once was.
This is so.
Which is really funny.
This whole story.
We talk about this all the time, so it's like.
Yeah, it's like, this is so funny to me that they're doing the story.
Is it going to change?
No. Well, I don't. Well, we'll see. I guess it's a story, at least, right?
So then the next
something
day,
going. We always
a
complain, say AEW has no stories. I'm gonna give him a fair
story.
I'm gonna give him a fair shot on this one. We're watching it from the beginning. Let's see what they do.
Well, tell me if
but
you
also,
agree with this. Go on.
I was going to say, in the events leading up to that comment, I just was going to say that I kind of was liking it because Tony Khan was at the NFL draft wearing a neck brace. Like, he was on the NFL like TV with a neck brace on in the draft room.
Jeremy,
the Pat McAfee show.
Jeremy, that part was great. Do you want to tell me where he ruined it?
That's the part. That's what I was saying. I was like, it was all good until
he said that WWE is the Harvey Weinstein of the wrestling business.
Why would you say this? If you said Vince McMahon is the Harvey Weinstein of wrestling, it's like, okay, fair enough. But like to say the whole company.
Oh my god! I was like, why did you have to do that? I was liking the story, and I'm like, I guess it's still a good story, but it's like,
he's just a salty boy, dude. My boy is salty. He's always a little mad.
So as I'm looking up here, let me know if you agree with this. Bleacher Report on this Dynamite wrote, as intriguing as this ending may be, it was also kind of a strange way to end what was already a very odd show. Not only did it feel somewhat thrown together, but the constant audio issues made it almost unwatchable at times. The wrestlers all did a good job, but a lot of what we got on Wednesday didn't feel like an appropriate follow-up to what we saw at Dynasty.
I mean, I agree, because every match on Dynasty was good. This didn't feel like capitalization. You should have capitalized on this.
And then they gave the show a C+.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, I just disagree with the audio stuff because I feel like that's what makes AEW what it is. But I mean, other than like the storylines,
you're like, dude, that's the best part.
Audio, it's not AEW, man.
Just not hearing anything in backstage.
Jeremy's like, dude, this is a throwback. I'm in.
Oh yeah, didn't the show open up with Jack Perry and them getting out of the car and the audio was terrible, like the EVP?
Yeah, you can barely hear what they're saying. Yeah, I was like, I love this episode already.
Jeremy's like, best Dynamite in a while.
Oh my god. Speaking of, while we're still on Dynamite, it was announced Kenny would be back next week. Kenny didn't know he would be back next week.
Kenny has been hilarious on these streams that he's been doing.
Dude, Kenny is he's doing a full babyface turn for me. And also, what's funny is not just me. Like Cordy listened to the whole and reviewed the whole segment of him talking about like the backstage altercation, and he's like, hell has frozen over. I for once agree with him.
Well, Kenny on the stream would also talk about how he's jealous of how Roman is presented. Basically, he said that's how I was kind of presented, in New Japan. I think Roman is even presented bigger than that. You think Kenny kind of is growing up and like maybe I want to?
I don't know if Kenny's really Kenny seems like he's throwing some shade every now and then a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
What do you say, Tim? You might know better than me. What do you say about finding out? He's like I got text from my sisters and mom being like, I saw the news. He's
like, we heard the news, the big announcement that you're returning, and he's like, and I texted Tony and said, I guess I'm gonna be there next week. And then he's like, come on, man. And the dude, he seemed like kind of annoyed by it.
Hilariously, he's just sitting there with Nakazawa.
I know, he seemed like he was having a great time just doing these streams and everything.
Dude, he just wants to play. Dude, he's just playing video games, chilling, dude.
He's like, just leave me alone, guys.
He's like, I don't really feel like getting suplexed, to be honest with you. I just want to like chill.
I think he's gonna, because it's next week. He'll probably come back and have a confrontation with the Bucks and Jack Perry and.
Well, he suddenly got fired from the Elite, so they have to do that storyline.
And the Jack Perry, I think I read, is now a part of the Elite officially.
Yeah.
You took 8 months of my career.
8 months of my career.
Yeah, that's how
real glass. Cry me a river.
Yeah, the crowd was chanting "Cry me a river," and he was eating it up.
And all you motherfuckers, fuck you. That's his thing. Fuck you. Looks at the crowd.
All right. Let's do Collision. Collision and Rampage.
Listen,
back to
next
back
time he does a promo when he's mad, look at his lips and when he's angry. It's so funny, dude.
Collision and Rampage were back to back again this week on Saturday. Collision started 30 minutes late. My recording started in the middle of Swerve's promo, so I have no idea what started. I have no idea what he was talking about beforehand. It was just midway through.
Swerve started the show.
Yeah, but I didn't get.
That's because everybody yelled at him and was like, "Hey, y'all fucked up. You should have had Swerve open the."
Yeah, they should have done this.
Show. I don't have notes for what he said because I didn't get to see it. Because classic
AEW. In classic
AEW, even though we're not officially recorded, even though we're not officially recorded, send them out there.
That was because of the NBA playoffs before they started at a weird time. But that's also why I love AEW, because you don't get a good start time.
You never do. You never know what's going to happen.
No.
Well,
you never know when it's going to come on. It might pop on. You're like, hey, it's on.
The DVR, with the 10-minute overrun, you might not even see the finish of the main event. It just depends.
Half the time I don't, man. Half the time I don't. I have to go to my website and find it.
The secret site.
My website.
We can't tell anybody. It's secret site. If you buy, how about this? If you buy
a shirt,
if you buy a shirt off the PW Fan Pro
Andy will tell
store,
you the website.
We'll tell you the secret site.
You gotta deal with some pop-ups, but it'll work.
Yeah,
only 20 pop-ups that come up.
Andy, you've been
entire show.
Andy, you've been using it for years, and that's because we keep it a secret.
I've been using it since 2016.
2016. It's like almost 10 years. Crazy. So we don't tell the secret site stays secret.
The secret.
You can watch Dark Side on there. You can watch everything, but you got to keep it secret.
I've watched UFC pay-per-views on there, man. It's a real secret show.
That's how Andy watches every UFC pay-per-view, is because of that site.
So Swerve would talk about open challenges, and Claudia would answer the challenge to face him in the main event in the night. We had Rey Fenix returning from his 20th injury against, God, what was his name? Something
I
El
have no idea who he
Mortos.
faced. Who?
I thought. Well, it looked like Vikingo when he came out.
Is it El Muertes or El Muertos?
Oh my god.
I feel like mine's right, to be honest.
El Muertes.
Tim said it like it sounded right.
El Muertes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
El Mortos.
Okay, sorry. The Beast Mortos.
Okay, that's not even. Where did the L
Beast Mortos?
Where did the L come from?
I told you I was thinking about I was thinking of El Viking or El Vikingo, and so that's where it came from.
El Beast.
No, he's a AAA wrestler.
He is.
Yeah. It was two luchadors going against each other.
Come on, Tim, don't fluster anyway. Trying to pronounce these.
On his pads, he looked like Vikingo to me.
El Beast Morto, which stands for the Beast Morto. Little Chris Farley throwback for anybody who used to watch Saturday Night Live. Which stands for the Nino.
El Nino.
My name is El Nino, which stands for the Nino.
Oh my god.
You ready? You ready to move forward?
We're good.
So we had Ray Phoenix returning in one match, and then Roosh returned in another. He did not fight El the Beast Mortos.
El the Beast?
Which stands for the Beast.
No, he returned against Martin Stone, who I guess is a jobber. God, anyway.
And he can only think of El Nino now.
House of Black would accept the Cope Open, but they would not tell Adam who was going to accept it. And then I was happy about this at first, and then I was bummed. The Grizzled Young Vets. Love them. They debuted on AEW. If you don't know who they are, they were a team. They're a very good team. At least Zach Gibson is from Liverpool. Is that your team, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, Jeremy's a Manchester United football team guy.
No.
All of
Jeremy,
our British listeners.
L Liverpool.
L Liverpool.
Which stands for the Liverpool.
The Liverpool. But they're very good. They're awesome, man. They were in NXT.
They are.
And then they got a gimmick change in NXT, and it was terrible. And then they were. I think they asked for their release. If not,
I think so.
They quit. But they debut against the Acclaim, and then they lose. After a really good match. And this could be a team that could be like a top team in AEW.
Well, hopefully that was just like, I don't know, have them debut and so people know who they are or whatever. I don't know.
Max Caster's like, I'm gonna make you suck my.
Oh my god, dude, his raps are getting so bad.
They are. He's trying to be too edgy, and I'm like, this is disgusting now.
What a great use of words. It's disgusting.
L disgusting.
Which stands for the disgusting.
The main event was Swerve defeating Claudio. It was apparently said that his Double or Nothing opponent will be announced on Dynamite, so no one's gonna earn a shot. It's just gonna be announced. Okay. I saw a picture. MJF was sporting a sling at an event.
He's apparently not.
Jeff Jarrett
gonna return soon. MJF.
Oh, I thought you said Jeff Hardy, or Jeff Jarrett. Sorry.
as I'm doing this.
Dude, the how good is those Jeff Hardy singing videos? He's like, when I see
Stop
you
singing and
in
take a
the
perk.
night, I will see you in my sights and loving you forever. Dude, they're all like that too.
My favorite is the comment that said, "Stop singing and just take a perk."
My God. So messed up.
Why? Like he has to record those and be like, "This is really good. I'm gonna post this now."
Oh yeah, dude.
His wife's just back there like.
The times are changing when me and my brother were wrestling.
He's got a dachshund though, so I can't bash on him too hard.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Rampage opened up with Trent Beretta defeating Chuck Taylor in a parking lot fight, and this ended due to referee stoppage. Fucking garbage. Thunder Rosa defeated Deonna Purrazzo, and that's all I got for Rampage. Woo! Rampage and Collision both took place in Daly's place. Daly's place again.
Daly's place.
Dally. That's what Scott Hall would call Dallas Page.
Also, I forgot to say, hold on, for Collision, they said, I think it's probably going to be part of the storyline now, but they said Tony Khan isn't like medically cleared to travel, so he runs the show from Jacksonville. So basically, that just means probably like the Bucks will take over.
I just hope we keep getting this shitty arena.
He just makes them stay in Jacksonville.
You love it? You love the bad arena?
Dude, it makes it feel like AEW.
It's peak AEW.
I mean, it kind of does, but at the same time, it's like...
And there was an email sent out for that past show that they needed 30 seat fillers. It was cool.
Yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, there was some reasoning behind it or whatever. But...
Is it Classic Show of the Week time or not yet?
Smackdown, baby. I don't end on Rampage. I don't end on a Rampage.
I'm sorry, bro. Chill.
El Smackdown.
El Chillo.
El Smackdown.
All right. SmackDown WWE Draft started this week. It continued tonight on Raw. It's probably going to continue again on SmackDown.
Didn't they say it was like 4 rounds or something?
No, I don't know.
So 4 weeks.
It was said in the beginning of the show that Roman Reigns has removed himself from the draft to not take away from other people.
How's that possible?
I don't know. Because he's the one.
He's L1.
He's L Uno 1.
Uno. There you go.
1-1.
1-1.
The 11? So, the start of the show was AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes contract signing. AJ would talk about how he learned from Dusty, and he learned how to be a champion from Dusty, and he questioned the weight, or if Cody was going to be able to carry the title, because he said his father never taught him how to.
Have you guys ever seen that meme where it's like when Cody faces a guy who doesn't know his father, and they're like, he doesn't know what to do?
My God. No, I haven't.
Like, he can't talk about his father.
Send it over. Sounds great.
I would have liked this segment better if AJ had brought up how he's wrestled and defeated Cody's dad before, but maybe that would be for another confrontation.
Forgot about that.
You can find that match on YouTube.
The website.
He's like, I beat your dad already in front of many communities, but there's one community in particular that has always supported me more than others. The gay community.
The gay
brother.
community. The gay community.
That's right.
The L gay community.
Which means
the
gay community.
L gay community.
So as Cody's walking away, Triple H would come out to start round 1 of the draft, and he would tell Cody to stick around. During the segment, Triple H would go, and Raw selects, and someone yells, Chris Benoit!
Oh my god, that's right.
Triple H didn't
Trips
sell it.
looks down and just...
He smirked a little bit.
He did.
Dude, it's a good bit that guy just did. Perfect timing.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that you could hear him in the camera too was like perfect.
Can you imagine what the people around him were thinking? They were probably, Jesus, dude.
Probably like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah, like the people sitting around him in the audience were probably like, bro.
Yeah.
You guys watching right now?
Nah.
I turn it off.
Oh, Punk.
Are you gonna talk about it?
Yeah, it's Punk, bro.
Oh, it's not next week's show yet, is it?
It's not next week's show, dude. You're giving it away. Andy, we'll talk about it next week's show, dude. Next week, bro.
Well,
I told you I'd call you Wednesday.
Oh, I got to go back now. He's cutting a promo. All right. So the draft, first round was SmackDown drafted Bianca Belair, who was already on that show. Raw drafted Jey Uso, who was already on that show. SmackDown drafted Carmelo Hayes from NXT, and then Raw drafted Seth Rollins, who was already on that show.
Why do they do that? Why?
Dude, every time. Oh, and this time, I don't like that they did this. They said all champions are protected. That means champions can't be drafted. I don't like that.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that either.
There's things about WWE we don't like sometimes.
I'm gonna adopt a cat.
Santos Escobar revealed that I'm just gonna gloss over that.
And he's like, anyways.
Santos Escobar reveals that Carlito is the one who attacked Dragon Lee. They pull a little
cats for sale, pal, and a puppy.
They pull a little Triple H Shawn Michaels security footage from 2002 segment and show Carlito attacking Dragon Lee backstage. This happened before Mania. Braun Breaker would come out and defeat Cedric Alexander in less than 30 seconds.
He's huge.
Pulling a Goldberg on Braun Breaker. Braun won in less than 30 seconds with the spear. I think he's becoming the next Goldberg. I don't know.
Yeah.
He has a very
Except
similar
he can
Goldberg.
wrestle.
Have you ever seen his tattoo on his shoulder? It looks just like the Goldberg symbol.
Oh, really?
Goldberg tat.
I have to look at it again.
I'm saving snakes from Nicaragua. Oh.
What?
Have you guys heard about this? Vince's thing, his new thing, is where he's like he's moved on from wrestling. Yeah, he takes his private jet to like go get animals and puts them up for adoption. That's like his PR thing that he's been doing.
Weirdest thing ever.
He's like, and then I built 4 tooths and a puppy back, pal. I got them all up for adoption.
And then I take those cats.
Oh, come on.
Oh, Andy.
Some of this might Jeremy, you might have to add some bleeps. Just add some bleeps in there.
My God.
Yeah.
No, all right, you guys, that can't be in there.
I'm just bleeping this whole part.
Just put a giant bleep over the whole part, please. Please don't let this air.
Just a video.
Conrad doesn't even want to say her name on the air. Andy's over here doing that. He's still bleeping.
Andy.
He's still.
Oh my God!
All right, all done.
Randy.
Draft round 2.
All right, good.
Thank you, God.
Tori Wilson and Michelle McCool would present the next round. Drafted to SmackDown, Randy Orton, who was already on that show. Raw would draft Braun Breaker. SmackDown drafts Nia Jax, and Raw would draft Liv Morgan, who was already on that show. After that, Kevin Owens attacks the Bloodline backstage, which this spills into the arena. Randy Orton would come to help. Owens and Orton versus the Bloodline, Tamatanga, El Tamatanga, and El Solo Sikoa is set. I was telling Jeremy, what if they create a team, Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, and they call it RKO?
My God.
It's perfect. No?
All right.
Didn't. Round 3 of the draft. Drafted SmackDown, AJ Styles, who was already there. Raw drafts all of Alpha Academy, who was already there. SmackDown drafts Andrade, and Raw drafted Kiana James from NXT, which is surprising because it's always surprising when they draft someone from NXT that's never been a champion.
That's true, yeah. Usually they're always champions.
I mean, she's been around for a little bit, but for her over other people is just wild to me.
I guess I see a lot in her, probably.
I guess. Nia Jax would attack during the Naomi and Tiffany Stratton match. And then we would have the final round of the night. Actually, I just read the final round of the night. I missed the third one. I skipped over it. The third one was LA Knight stays on SmackDown, Ricochet stays on Raw, Bloodline, all of them stay on SmackDown, and Sheamus stays on Raw. Nothing changed.
That is groundbreaking draft so far.
Yep, and the main event of the show was Carmelo Hayes versus Cody Rhodes. I guess I didn't talk about this during the first round of the draft. Carmelo Hayes came out after being drafted and called his shot against Cody Rhodes. During this match, Cody went for a Cody cutter. Carmelo moved, and Cody landed on his shoulder. People thought he was hurt, but he's fine.
What do you guys think about Spot anyways?
I mean, he's jumping far to land. I don't know. Because he doesn't land flat. He lands on his side, so he landed on his
the fact that the spot where both of them jump and they miss each other. I thought it was kind of funny at first, but
useless.
I hope Cody didn't get hurt, but
do you have Raw on right now?
No, Andy, we turned it off.
God, they're showing Braun Breaker's tattoo. I just want y'all to see it.
Why do we want to look at his tattoo?
Because they're presenting him as
it looks like Goldberg,
and it looks just like the Goldberg tat.
You know what? I can just Google Braun Breaker and do that instead.
It's a terrible tat.
I'll tell you this. Goldberg was a specimen, but I got 3 that just look good.
And let me tell you what I do with my cats.
It's one Vince at a time. God damn it, Andy.
Dan, now he's bleeding. You better be marking these clips so Jeremy can bleep them all.
I'm not marking them. Jeremy can mark these.
I gotta mark these now. All right. Well, I see his tattoo. Yeah, it's an awful tattoo. It does look like Goldberg.
Yeah. Thank you. God, now I can shut up.
Yeah.
And that's our show, guys. We're gonna have a great show next week. You can check us out on Tuesday. Around the afternoon, Jeremy will get all the episodes uploaded every Tuesday, and we record
every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, you'll find
right now?
It's going to be a new episode recorded. It's going to be a great show.
Great show.
We can't wait to talk to you next week. Tim, you want to take us out with a fantastic show?
Great episode. Great episode of the PW Fan.
I hate this bit.
Every Tuesday on AEW Dynamite.
We are L, the PW Fan.
L, the PW Fan. The fact they said the as well. L, the.
All right.
All right, Tim.
Episode 128.
This is why our fans love the show. We keep it raw. As a smoke
Just
raw.
Coughing straight into the mic for 5 minutes. This is why we love the show.
This is just like AEW. This is why you guys love the show. All right. Okay. So, my classic show. I'm sorry.
We're not going to finish this episode.
Excuse me. So, my classic show of the week is Victory Road TNA 2004. The show starts off. It's for free on YouTube. Whole show. First match is a 20-man X Division gauntlet match for the X Division Cup. Here's some fun names for you. There's an 8-man tag up next with Ron Killings, aka R-Truth, Eric Watts, Johnny B, and Pat Kenny against the Naturals, Andy Douglas, Chase Stevens, Kid Cash, and Dallas. Singles match up next, Mascarita Sagrada versus Tita Morgan. Tag team match for the NWA
Say that name again?
Tita Morgan. Piratita. Piratita. Piratita Morgan. Piratata. I don't feel like that's not right. I don't feel like Piratata's right.
El Tita Morgan.
Next, for you, Conrad. Piratita Morgan taking on the next up, you got the 3 Live Crew, which is Road Dogg and Conan, against Team Canada, which is Eric Young and Bobby Roode, both former NXT guys who you might remember if you've been watching a while. Women's matchup next, Stephanie Trinity against Jacqueline. Then you got Monty Brown, who used to do the Pounce, against Raven and Abyss. Next up, you got Petey Williams against AJ Styles. Everybody knows who AJ Styles is.
Oh, speaking of AJ Styles, guys.
Sorry, AJ. People don't forget. Next up, we have America's Most Wanted, James Storm and Chris Harris. James Storm, formerly an NXT guy, against Christopher Daniels and Eli Skipper. Christopher Daniels now, I believe, is talent relations in the back of AEW. And the final match of the night, Jeff Jarrett versus Jeff Hardy in a ladder match for the NW, a very young Jeff Hardy. I
love the meme where Jeff Hardy takes his fingers and goes across Vince's nose.
My God.
But I won't say the words that are accompanied with that meme.
All right, because Jeremy doesn't need to do any more bleeping. The whole
we're at the end of the show.
The whole second half of the episode is bleeped. So because you wouldn't, you're a sick freak.
Maybe we'll start a Patreon and do a non-filtered.
Yeah, we'll do an uncut, like a dirty Howard Stern version, where you just say some like way out of pocket shit that like
it's just Andy talking.
Yeah,
for like an hour.
Yeah, just Andy being Andy.
About Vince and his cats from my point of view. Let me know.
6 of them up for adoption. All right, guys. Well, this has been another episode of the PW Fan. We had fun talking wrestling with y'all. Join us again next week. And, check out Victory Road 2004. Have a great week. And
Real
enjoy.
Quick. Sorry. I want to do one more thing, guys. I need y'all's opinion.
Excuse me?
I want y'all's opinion.
That was a perfect wrap up.
I was nailing that like Tyson in his prime right now.
All right, what do you want?
I wanted to talk about Dom's new look, looking like Eddie Guerrero, but we can talk about it next week.
You interrupted. The end of the show. You interrupted my flow for Dom. Dude, Andy's world's biggest Dom Mysterio mark.
Oh my God.
All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks.